Well, hello there people, it is lovely to see you. You know what, this is something which we haven't really done for a long time, and I think people do want to see it. We're doing more of an in-depth video on AMC, we have a lot to talk about, we're looking at the share price recently, we're looking at why it hasn't been moving up so much, we're looking at short interest, some of the latest news, and then we're looking at some people's opinions based on where the share price could potentially go. I mean, this is something which we are potentially making into a series with both AMC and GME, looking at other people's arguments and then giving my opinions on them. Tonight we are looking at this Reddit post, you may have heard of it. It is called The Inevitability of AMC 2K based on current market data and current market behaviour. This is basically saying that AMC does have potential to get to $2,000 per share. We're going to be giving my opinions on that as well and much more in this video. So it may be a lengthy one, hopefully I'm going to make it as short as possible for you guys, but make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe regardless, as again we talk about AMC, GME and many other stocks pretty much every single day, so make sure to give it a like and of course subscribe. Anyway, let's jump into this one looking at AMC. So we're going to start off on the most boring and actually the most important piece of information. This is coming from Fintel. It was updated on the 15th, and we can see that obviously this is latest market data. We're looking at short volume and market volume. The short volume ratio is 32%. Market volume is obviously 44.7 million, and the short volume is 14.3 million if you were wondering. And again, that was updated back on the 15th, so not too long ago, but there we go, that is coming from Fintel. So that's some of the latest information that we do have. On top of that, we have more news. We have this article here one day ago. It's from Bloomberg. It's saying how AMC Theatre CEO says that the stock is under attack from short sellers. So again, that is just backing up what we just read there on Fintel, talk about the amount of short interest in the stock. Now again, this is not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it does give us a potential for a squeeze. Again, we talk about this more in a moment, but that is something which the CEO has said just yesterday. Of course, short sellers are attacking this stock like crazy. So the next piece of news that we do have also came out yesterday. It is coming from markets.business insider. Please cross that off, thank you. Let's have a quick look at what it is saying. So the title reads pretty simply, and it does tell us everything that we need to know. AMC climbs 9%. This was yesterday, by the way, when it was up. It climbs 9% as the CEO makes a pledge not to sell any shares this year that get newly authorized, that is. So again, not selling any newly authorized shares, which is good. This is fantastic, and we can see if the company needs to raise short-term cash, it will have some shares left for prior authorization. AMC, which has been a popular meme stock, is now up more than 365% in 2021. So again, that tells us a bit more information about the company. I'm sure we already knew this stuff, but we can see obviously we are not having any more shares authorized at the moment, which is good. And of course, this is apparently all year, so fantastic news. Again, published yesterday. People were thinking that they were going to authorize more shares, which of course would have had a negative effect on the share price, and actually to hear that wasn't going to happen, well, it clearly had a good impact on the share price. Generally speaking, on the markets today, the Dow is up 0.45%, S&P 0.3%, Nasdaq up 0.007%, just in case you're wondering. So let's get back to the share price and how we have been moving today. Well guys, I was reading StockTwits and obviously Reddit as well just last night. People were saying that today was going to be the day that we break past $10 and remain stable there. Apparently, so far at least, and there is some potential for this to change, that was not the case. That is not necessarily a bad thing, guys. It still does give us some potential for this to happen in the future, but ultimately, as you guys may imagine, this might be some time away, perhaps in the next week. Now guys, I do need to state, and I should have said this at the start of the video, but I'm going to say it anyway, I actually bought some shares of AMC just for a laugh, guys. I bought about 57 shares. You know, if this one goes to the moon, of course it's going to be beneficial. If it goes to the ground, I'm personally not too bothered, as it only cost around £400, but there you go, that is the shares that I currently own in AMC, and I bought those yesterday. Of course it has fallen today, but not by too much, as you can imagine, because I only bought in yesterday, so I didn't buy this one like weeks ago when it was at the high. highs. Obviously, I bought this fairly recently. Anyway, getting back to the share price, we can see we have been pretty stable now for some time, which is good. But again, today was not what people were expecting so far. We can see the lows of the day were down here, almost touching $9, and we have pulled back a little bit since then, which is good. And again, it could indicate good things coming towards the end of the day. But personally, I don't think it's possible that we are going to see this one come into the green today. That's just my personal thoughts. I would love for it to happen, but I just don't think it's happening today. Anyway, back to this information that we do have from this article. This is a piece which we were waiting for probably, and I think it is the most interesting. It is called The Inevitability of AMC to 2K Based on Current Market Data and Market Behavior. Now this is a lot of reading. Feel free to pause the screen at any moment, and please do bear with me as, like I said, this is going to be a lengthy one and it's probably going to be quite difficult to decipher and read through. Anyway, let's start off. Hi everybody, thank you in advance for taking the time to read this mini thesis on the price action of AMC and their thoughts on it. So we can see here, following the following will be a quick update from the case of AMC being able to hit a price action of 2,000 USD, and we can see here previous case is there, that was listed down there. Again, feel free to look this one up. Anyway, their opinions on the stock price as of right now, and as well of the unique price action that AMC apes have been noticing in the past few days whilst holding. Now this was written 39 days ago, but a lot of what they have said in this article is still somewhat true. I think it is still a relevant piece of information, especially with what is going on with the market right now and with the interest that still surrounds AMC stock. So getting a bit further down, we can see a few pieces of information. First things first, they apparently have a lot of the same institutional buyers, such as BlackRock, Vanguard, HSBC Hold, etc. And the full list is also shown down here. So this person has involved a lot of due diligence in this and put a lot of information into this mini article and thesis, as they have said. And secondly, this person believes that AMC and GME share many of the same ETFs which have been shorted. So we can read here, in order to effectively increase the selling pressure on AMC and GME as well to artificially deflate the price. So again, this is basically saying that they are artificially deflating the price, as you can imagine. And again, to further elaborate, the way that somebody would stay net short on a single stock or multiple stocks using an ETF is by shorting the ETF, i.e. borrowing the shares, or at least the stock, selling immediately, creating selling pressure, while owning the stock and obviously accumulating interest set at a short share borrow rate. So that tells us a bit of information, you can see. Let's just take a minute to decipher that, because it is quite an interesting point that this makes. I should state, I probably have already stated this, but I'm going to do it again. This is only somebody's opinion, guys. Do not take it as fact. It's an interesting opinion, and this person has involved a lot of research and everything, but obviously it is still somebody's opinion, but there we go. Anyway, moving a bit further down, we can see that they eventually got to buy back the shorts, so they eventually got to buy back the stock, but as we know, this will not be covering anytime soon, so that is good. And we can see, going long on assets / securities / stocks, you don't intend to stay short, thus stay net short on a single asset. So to sum things up in their opinion a bit further, they're shorting the ETFs and went long on everything else in that stock. I would assume that might be ETF, other than GME and AMC, as shown by the data below. So here's a bit of their data that they have listed. Again, feel free to check any of this out in your free time. We can see down here, Fintel data shows on the 2nd of March 2021, the shared ETFs with GME. So I'm not going to spend the time going through this, but we can see a few down here. Again, feel free to pause this at any moment if you would like to, but this shares a lot of information which we don't have time to cover in this short video. But we can see this person has involved a lot of information down here. Let's get back to this part down here, which I also do find interesting. Anyway, analysing this data, we can see that the metrics indicate that the short volume, short interest borrow rate, and the amount of stocks held by apes, etc., a short squeeze, and all indicators have been increasingly steady across the ETFs. So thus, with that data, previous argumentation being established, let me elaborate on how I believe, or at least how they believe, this is not me speaking, AMC and GME are related. So as established, they have a lot of the same institutional buyers, as well as sharing the same shortable ETFs. Furthermore, this is shown by this website again here, where we can see apes holdings such as when GME goes up, AMC goes up. When GME goes down, the same can be said for AMC. Thus AMC and GME are extremely high in correlation. Plus GMC and AMC both have the same stockholders, and that is also quite true. I do believe that is the case. Now we can see down here, let us use this knowledge to see how AMC has the same potential to turn into GME and even reach $2,000 US. And of course, again, this is their opinion. Anyway, first let them touch on GME's Magic Week, which was back on the 19th of March rather, all the way through to the 28th of March. There are several theories on how GME may start to squeeze, and then they'll link how it follows. So again, these are linked as follows, as it does say. Again, that is something completely related. But in summary, we can see of these sources are that GameStop will start to squeeze, hedges will fight away between the 19th of March and the 26th due to around 12 to 15 catalysts occurring on the same time. So again, this was quite old. This is quite a while ago. We can see this was set up on February the 24th by most likely BlackRock, and that is their personal speculation because BlackRock apparently seems to hate short sellers with a burning passion, as well as they own major chunks of both companies. So we can see down here, to a price most likely 137k due to short interest, including ETFs, and being roughly 412%. We can see down here. Also, all sources were given above. So again, if you do want to recheck that information, feel free to once you have watched this video. But before they can relate this to AMC, let us acknowledge which part of the feedback loop we are based on their original thesis. So again, a little bit of it there. So as they write, the price is hovering around the $7.90 to the $8.10 range. Again, this was written quite some time ago, so it has changed. They would argue that this is due to artificial selling pressure. However, they believe that we can still establish $8 as roughly a new floor. Now, we have come up a bit since then, which is good. So again, we have came up a little bit, and that is something to relate to, being as this was written around a month ago, if not a little bit more. Anyway, we can see here, now as stated in the original feedback loop, if AMC apes held past 20, there would be a much higher possibility of a short squeeze happening. This can be backed up by data. If it finished above $8.01 again today, and again this was quite some time ago, which means that we get 11.6 million shares due again. Monday, this was a while ago as well. We can see basically the apes held regardless of price, fulfilling the bedrock now for the original thesis that apes control the price. Now, this is something that we have noticed recently as well. Of course, a lot of people are still holding AMC, a lot of people who are obviously not institutional investors, and they really do have quite a large influence on the share price. Do the institutions have a large influence on the share price? Well, of course they do, they're bound to. But realistically, we are seeing that apes, as they have called themselves, have quite a lot of influence as well. And this is interesting. This is something which we are noticing more and more. The people who really are behind the stock do have the potential to do a lot for it, as we have seen recently. So if we move down a little bit more, we can see here that there is a little bit of a feedback loop for the apes that are not interested in the maths. And again, this person does describe in a bit more detail why shorts fail to deliver and all that kind of stuff. But basically, guys, I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. But all of this information is very interesting, so I would recommend pausing the video at the current moment. But yeah, let's have a quick look at what the feedback loop is for the people who aren't interested in the maths, because this goes along with the apes controlling the price action. So we can see here, this is the pattern apparently. So the apes buy and hold, the hedge funds short via SLAs and phantom shares, driving the price down. The apes buy and hold, increasing the price and the cost of staying short. More options expire in the money, they fail to deliver. Apes buy and hold, prices rise again. Same cycle of hedge funds shorting and new floors being established. Interest borrow fees, apes buy and hold. And this part of the cycle does go on for a while before, of course, we see the price start to rocket and actually we get close to $2,000. So again, this is quite a detailed description, talking about a lot of the potential things that we would need to see happen to see us get that high. And honestly, when you think about this one, it's not too unbelievable. It's not too unachievable. It is absolutely possible that we could see this one rise once more. As the CEO has said only yesterday, there is still quite a lot of short interest in this one. I still do believe that, you know, with the apes as they have have called themselves, they have a lot of power on their hands, and you know what, as things do progress, as we see the price rise once more, it's not impossible that we could see something that is actually coming to fruition. As we do read a bit further down, we can see that this person actually says that they believe it's not, a case of if it's going to happen, they believe it's a case of when it's going to happen. I think this is also very interesting. We can see it's down here. So again, this is also opinion related, but we can see they're quite bullish on this feedback loop based on current events and their past thesis. Current data and trends as well, and of course, more effectively, more fuel is going to get pumped into the rocket, and that has been the case again recently. So this person has argued here that that previously it was a speculation whether it was going to make it to 2K, but at the current rate, they believe it's like 2008's housing market, and it's going to become more of a speculative certainty than a actual speculation if the apes do carry on. So this just shows how strong this person does believe in this. Again, it is only just another person's opinion, but I do believe with the amount of research this person has put into this article, it is quite true. It's quite an interesting thing to focus on. So yes, AMC has been down today, and I think, people were expecting this one to pass $10. If it would have passed $10, it would have been lovely, but let's face it guys, there is still a lot of potential in AMC's court, and I still do believe it has potential to even rocket to 2,000 in my opinion. If we read a bit further into this article, and I think this is also somewhat true, if we read a little bit down, we can see down here, somebody has actually written, obviously the apes do hold a lot of power, and we can see it's inevitable that it could get to 1k, 2k, 5k, or even 100k, and again, basically, if we do have a quick read, it depends on the amount of time shareholders do things and how much they want it to happen. So again, it's basically up to the shareholders at this point, the people who want to see this one rocket, as long as the shareholders do continue to buy and the hedge funds continue to deepen their graves. So this is really interesting, you can see. It's a strong theory on AMC, thinking that it's going to get to 2,000. And you know what, as I have mentioned, I bought some shares in AMC. I'm not bothered if it's rocketing, I'm not bothered if it's going to the floor. Ultimately guys, I bought this one as a speculative play, and I do hope it rockets, as we all do. So right now with this stock, I think it is important to remember that even with the GME squeeze which went as high as it did, of course it took more than a day. It didn't necessarily rocket overnight. We saw similar things to what we were seeing with AMC over the past few months, in the sense that yes, if we look at the stock over the past 2 years, for example, we can see yes, we have seen a big breakout in price, but obviously in comparison to what we saw with GME, it's not as much. We saw a breakout like this with GME first, and it fell a little bit like this one has done. And then it started to build and build and build until we got to the point where a short squeeze was triggered, and of course the share price rocketed. So there is still some potential in my opinion for AMC. I think they does still have a strong community behind it, and I think this could help to push the price a bit further. A lot of people who buy these stocks are into speculative plays, obviously, as this is not necessarily a growth stock long term. I mean, people might argue that it is, but ultimately, let's face it, like 90% of people who are buying this stock are buying it for the potential of a short squeeze. So again, a lot of these people are looking for quick profits like right now. I think a lot of these people will probably have moved over to cryptos for now, whether it be Dogecoin, perhaps ADA, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. I do believe that there is some potential for AMC to still have its day, and that is my opinion. So let's hope it does come soon. Thank you guys, I'll see you all soon, goodbye.